Welcome back to the Extra Rep Podcast, guys. I'm Josh.
I'm Liam.
So today we're going to talk about calories versus food quality. So, massive debate probably online you've seen, especially the past few years, and it's really probably, I guess, gone from just calories in, calories out now, right to this other side of just like the food quality being at like its absolute, peak, and like people demonizing, anything they can pick up in the supermarket that has more than one ingredient in it. So We want to give you guys a bit of a balanced approach to sort of how to combat this and how to make these work for you, because there's going to be, like I said, some nuances here and how these things work. But I think getting into it, obviously, if our goal we know is fat loss, we know, everyone knows it, right? We need to be in a calorie deficit, but it's like, what does that actually mean? It means we need to find a position of, a resting metabolic rate, basal metabolic rate. We call it our TDE all up. So basically that's our total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories we burn in a day, right? So you've got your basal metabolic rate, which makes up 50 to 60%. And that's basically the calories you burn to keep yourself alive. So if you're just going to lie in bed all day, do absolutely nothing, that's the amount of calories you'd burn. From there, you've got your NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is just a simple word for just activity. So getting up, walking to the toilet, going for a walk, doing all those sort of things. Then that makes up about can be, from 15% probably all the way up to like 35, 40%, depending. Then you've got your EAT, which is your exercise activity thermogenesis. That's probably going to make up like 5 to 10%. And that's like your structured training and things like that, your cardio. And then obviously you've got your, what's that last one? When you eat with the food? Digestion. Digestion.
The thermic effect of food.
Yeah, that's the one. Thermic effect of feeding, TEF. So
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Yeah, sorry. Even I got confused. Yeah, thermic effect of food. So basically with that, it's probably, let's say 5 to 15%, depending on what macronutrient you're consuming more or less of as well. You will actually burn calories when you consume food. So the body has to burn energy to break that food down, even though obviously the food contains energy as well. So we have all those and then that gives us our total daily energy expenditure, which let's say in this example is 2,000 calories, right?
Yep.
And then we have on the other side, calories out. So we go, calories in. So we have food and drink, and then we have, basically just anything we eat or drink that's gonna do that. So we've got this tipping scale, right? So without taking any food quality, micronutrition into it, we go, okay, if I'm on 2,000 calories, I need to create a deficit. So we go, okay, let's take 500 calories from food and drink. And then we go, okay, I'm going to be in a 500 calorie deficit. If we're consistent with that over the course of, let's say, a month, we should drop, 0.5 kilo a week, roughly. These are very rough guidelines, and everyone's going to be different of body fat, provided we're doing everything else right with training nutrition. Now it gets a bit trickier. Because again, we've got your protein, your carbs, and your fats. We'll go into our macronutrients, and then this then goes hand in hand with food quality and what actual food are you consuming. So obviously we know we need protein, right? We want 2 grams per kilo. We obviously want healthier sources, lean proteins, all that sort of thing. Think your meats, your poultry, your high protein like yogurts and eggs and things like that, and seafood. And then obviously some poultry and grains and things like that as well. And then your carbs, obviously, ideally unprocessed, rice, potatoes, things grown from the ground. Fruits, really good as well. And vegetables, of course. Then we've got your fats. So obviously everyone wants, your extra virgin olive oils, all that stuff. You've got your unsaturated, polysaturated, and saturated fats. So with all this, Liam's going to talk a little bit more about the food quality side of things, because I've just fucking rambled on.
It's all good.
And how that sort of affects this sort of, calories in versus calories out equation.
Okay, so Josh's ramble was amazing, and I'm now going to debunk every single thing that he just said. But I say this from a standpoint of, I'm someone who's had multiple chronic health issues. I've helped hundreds of clients with chronic health issues, mainly around like digestion, autoimmune conditions. And when I say calories in, calories out isn't the equation, it's because it's not, unfortunately. We're looking at things like digestive health. If you've got candida overgrowth, or if you've got SIBO, or if you've got heavy metal poisoning or something, it's like the quality of your nutrition really matters. If I look at your blood work analysis and your thyroid antibodies are through the roof, your white blood cell counts through the roof, and you've borderline, got your immune system attacking each other, or your fasting glucose, or your red blood cells, or just all these things have shut themselves, or your homocysteine, it's just like, every single thing matters when it comes to your diet and your nutritional intake. So let's just go through the protein, carbs, and fats, right? Let's just simply break it down. All the things you listed off with protein, amazing. Now let's say you got your 2 grams per kilo body weight protein, all from soy protein isolate, which is one of the most refined versions, and the amino acid profile isn't that great, right? It's like, okay, you're probably not gonna recover as well. You might have some endotoxins in the body. You might not be feeling too great. Now we go back to carbohydrates. Everything you mentioned with potatoes, starch, rice, all that stuff, it's like amazing. And we're looking at fruits. Yes, micronutrients, source of fiber. But what if you had pure dextrose and, Pop-Tarts or anything like that? And then we could go the other way, right? Let's say if someone's having brown rice, but they didn't wash it properly, and then, their level of arsenic went through the roof and they got heavy metal poisoning. It's not to fearmonger people from eating brown rice. It's like, just pay attention to these things. Even the water you drink, can be ridden with heavy metals and copper and all these other things like that. Now we go to fats. It's like everything you mentioned there with olive oil and all that stuff, amazing antioxidant source with polyphenols as well. But then what if it's just purely saturated fats in the diet coming from like chocolate and a whole bunch of other shit? And it's like, okay, all these things are going to affect your lipid panels. It's going to affect your white blood cell, red blood cell count. It's going to affect all your vitamins and minerals. And this is where people come to me because they're like, hey, I eat really healthy, or I track my calories in this, but like my weight's not budging, or my body composition isn't changing and everything. And it's like, yeah, there's multiple things, right? It could be a programming issue, could be a diet issue, could be a calorie counting issue. But a lot of the times someone's got some underlying, say, gut issue or anything like that, and they don't realize how much it matters, the quality of their nutrition and honestly, lifestyle, what they actually do day to day, and you're paying attention to the quality of the food. Someone can say, oh, I ate really healthy. I said, what did you have? They said, oh, I just got some chicken tenders and, threw them in the oven. And then you look at the back of like an Ingham's sweet chili chicken tenders and you're like, there's twice as much fat and sugar than protein in chicken tenders. And you're like, you look at the ingredient list and it's just like the coding that it's in is just full of shit. And you're like, well, this makes a lot of sense, right?
I think food labels, that's a really interesting one you touched on because, like I said, you can get something that's, like I said, quote unquote healthy, but chicken tenders, it's like, yeah, they've got a little bit of fat in them, but it's okay. But like I said, you flip around the packet, compared to like a chicken breast, you look around, it's probably 3 times the amount of calories in the same amount of food, say 200 grams. So I think for a lot of people, and again, don't get me wrong, Liam's completely right with all the gut stuff and underlying issues that a lot of people may have. But I think you've got to first understand that, it depends where you're at. Like I said, if you've got a 50 kilo overweight person, you just need to cut some calories somewhere, right? Like, and that's why fasting protocols and things are going to be really good, obviously, because it's just like, let's just try and get as much fat off you as quick as possible, because that's going to give you the best, the best improvement in everything in terms of your health. Of course, because of that, you probably have some underlying issues, but that's something that can be fixed once we're down that track of, losing weight, or if you're able to do it at the same time, even better. But I think for a lot of people, it does come down to just not understanding what's in food. And then, again, you've got these people who will go to the food quality side of, in an ideal world, if everything wasn't packaged and it was just like, everything grown from the ground, we're in a little farm or whatever, in our own little bubble, and we could just grow things from the ground, have our own meat, whatever it is, you'd 100% be happier and healthier.
Yep.
But again, we go out for dinners, we like to have little snacks every now and again, like we're human beings, right? So in this modern day Western world, it's just not going to happen. So I think you need to learn to balance them both. It's like, yes, calories in, calories out does matter. And we know that because it's a law of thermodynamics. And then there's things that can affect that. So I think a good thing is, let's say someone's burning 2,000 calories a day, right? And then we go, what if it's a woman who has PCOS, right? Mm-hmm. So we go, okay, does that mean calories in, calories out doesn't work? It's like, well, no, it still works. It just means, unfortunately, their metabolic rate is lower. Which basically lowers their, it might lower it to, let's say, 1,800 as an example. Normal people die on 2,000. This person with PCOS might have to diet on lower calories to get the same approach.
And maybe have to go ketogenic, unfortunately.
Exactly right. Something might need to change, right? And again, is that fair? No. But again, everyone's going to be put in a different position. So again, the calories in, calories out argument, I think a lot of people are just saying it doesn't matter. And it's like, no, it absolutely does. But you may have factors that are affecting
Yep.
this calories in or calories out part, depending on if you've got issues going on with your blood work and things like that. So that's why people probably get frustrated,
Yep.
is because they may do that and then there may be an underlying issue. Whereas in, say, like let's use the PCOS for example, if a coach just dieted them on lower calories once they told them they had PCOS to begin with, they probably would have started seeing some fat loss, right?
Yep.
And yes, further down the track, we definitely need to look at things to fix that up and optimize that. But if they got to a point where they were like, the coaches like, the calories are sweet, like you should be losing weight, and then they're not, then of course there's something wrong with me, this, that, etc. Whereas if they just dieted on the the lower end, the coach knew that, then they'd be able to get the results there. And then obviously from there, then they can look into insulin sensitivity and all that related to PCOS. But it's just an example of how this sort of calories in, calories out law of thermodynamics has been sort of altered to the point where people go, it doesn't matter anymore. And it's like, no, it fucking does. It just changes because of these things that Liam's talking about.
Yeah, and also like, it's really good that you mentioned that, like, hey, it's not fair for the individual, right? Because it's like, okay, a lot of people with their health journey, right, if they're really sick and they want to get healthy, right, it's like, yes, it's not fair. You have to say no to things at social events and all this stuff, but it's only for a period in time, right? Like if you have gut issues, you do have to follow a protocol for 4, 8, 12 weeks, depending on the practitioner you have, to get better, then to be, quote unquote human and enjoy some M&Ms at the cinemas or whatever it may be, right? It's like, it does take time for a lot of people. A gut protocol can sometimes take 1 to 2 years. It took me 2 years to get completely better from previous issues that I had. And I would say I'm still fixing certain things as well. It's like, you're never going to be always 100% perfect, right? But then even what you mentioned with people in the law of thermodynamics, right? The tradie who trains at the gym in the morning and, works manual labor all day can eat 3,500 calories and, still lose weight. Whereas the same person genetically could be like, 5'8", and then that tradie could have been 6'2". It's like the 5'8" guy might have to eat less calories, unfortunately, just purely because of genetics, even though it's the same amount of manual labor and gym training. It's just like there's different genetic factors there. Is it fair? No, but you have to understand that. And you are an individual. It still shocks me that people don't pay attention to how they feel after food, and they don't know why they feel X, Y, Z, and they don't actually, look at the nutritional label and think, maybe the 2 sugars I'm having in my morning coffee is the reason why I feel really good after my coffee and then crash an hour later. It's not a caffeine crash. It's actually a sugar crash. Little examples like that.
Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting with people's psychology around these things, right? Because it is a psychological thing around food, right? Because obviously you have the calories, but then you have, the social aspect around it. There's heaps of different things. It's like, let's say if you're a big wog family, right? And you go to Nonna's every Sunday, like, it's like, yes, there's that social aspect around that. And of course you don't want to like miss out on that, but it's finding the middle ground, right? For most of you, it's like, you probably don't have to have some crazy overhaul of your lifestyle. You just need to make better choices in the moment. And it's really easy to just, I get it, hit the button of like, oh, well, fuck it. Like I had one thing more than I was supposed to. And then that, it all of a sudden, bang, next day. And all of a sudden it's been 4 days and you're like, oh, I haven't prepped anything. I've just eaten whatever the fuck I wanted. Time to get back on the wagon. And it's, what I tell all my clients is, if you have a bad meal, it's fine. Just make sure that next meal you are back on track with whatever it is. I don't give a fuck if you've eaten 10,000 calories, right? Just make sure whatever that next meal is, you are back on track. Of course, if that's happening 3 times a week, there's something different. We need to, probably change the approach. But this is just something to be, mindful of, that mindset around food. Remember, when you are dieting, we want to diet for the shortest period of time possible. Again, if you're 50 kilos overweight, it's probably going to be a lot longer than someone else, right? But this is when you can implement little diet breaks and things like that. Of course, we'd like you to get it off probably as quick as possible. But if you're someone who just needs to drop 5 kilos, right? Like if you're really pretty gung ho about it, you go at probably 90% effort. You probably get that 5 kilos off in 7-8 weeks pretty well. Just by cooking your own food, doing the right things, and saying no to a couple of dinners, or literally just picking a better option with dinner and saving some calories. And then again, it goes back to food quality. It's like, the better quality of your food, okay, I'm going to be fuller, more satiated, I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to be able to hit the gym, I'm going to want to go out and walk more. The more you fuel yourself with good food, the more you're going to be able to function. The more calories you're going to be able to burn, the more calories you're going to save, and it's just a snowball effect.
We can give people the perfect example of what we did over the weekend. So we went out to dinner on Saturday night and had pizza, and then we had frozen yogurt afterwards, right? Now, this would normally completely mess up someone, but what did we do? We went and got some like homemade organic flour pizza from this restaurant, and then we also got this frozen yogurt that was like way less processed and, you know, vegan made or whatever, and still tasted amazing, right? Then Sunday night, we also had dinner and dessert at the family's, and it's just like, yes, we are human, we go out, we, you know, quote unquote, slip up or enjoy ourselves. But what did me and Josh do Monday morning? We're straight back into routine and on track with our meals, nutrition, and our training. And the results speak for themselves. You can still progress every single week.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, going back to that, it's just about navigating around that, you know, like if you know you're going to eat crap food, it's like, okay, like, can I, again, save some calories, you know, even if I know I'm going out Saturday night, right? Sweet. Mm-hmm. Okay, why don't you take 200 calories off Monday to Friday from your carbs and fats and just save them for Saturday? It's like, is it going to be absolutely perfect? No, but it's going to be much better you eating 1,000 calories less than having that meal that's probably going to take you over. And you're probably still going to do very, very well in terms of fat loss if you're in a fat loss phase that week, rather than just having that meal and saying, oh, well, fuck it, I've had it now, because that's going to, again, induce you to just keep eating more and more and more. And then, again, you're stuck in that cycle of, oh, I'll just start again Monday.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful.
I reckon that about wraps up.
I was about to say, I think we did pretty well there.
I mean, we can touch a bit more on, like, you know, what I see in blood work analysis is from, like, you know, CRP and ESR, which are your inflammation markers. It's like, you know, some foods will cause an inflammatory response in an individual, but I think I pretty much just summed it up in that sentence. So
I think sugar-free foods will be a good one, because I think a lot of people, like, especially when you're talking about the gut, like a lot of people will have like the sugar-free sauces and foods and things like that. And I've found some really good, and I'm like, gassy. And then some are just completely fuck me up. So I think it's really interesting to talk about that just quickly with like sorbitol and a few of the other sweeteners. It's like, it's not that they're necessarily bad for you, but it's like, would I be lathering absolutely everything I eat all the time with like low calorie sauce that's going to upset my gut? No. Yep. So it's about finding these sort of adjustments that you can make, you know, where digestion's still there, you still feel okay, but you can add some of those in to, you know, increase the flavor profile of some foods and things you're eating.
Everyone's microbiome is different, honestly. Like, that's the thing, right? Some sauces may mess with you, some might mess with me, some might not mess with you at all. But I go back to the point of, like, people still don't pay attention intuitively to how they feel after they eat. And this is what I get my clients to do, is actually have a food journal. And, you know, when you do start like a new diet or whatever it is with me, it's like, actually monitor how you feel after each meal. Okay, after meal 3, I was actually starting to feel a little bit bloated or a little bit gassy. Or after, you know, meal 4 and, you know, dinner, I was actually a little bit restless that night. Okay, what was different? Then you can see X, Y, and Z from there. It's like, people just don't know how they feel after food. Whereas people like you and me who have a routine and we eat the same foods, we feel good all day because we're eating foods we know agree with us.
I think it's funny, like you mentioned that with being like feeling normal, like a lot of people are used to eating that way for so long that it just feels like they feel like they should have to shit 4 times a day, or like, you know, their stomach hurts every morning. Like it just becomes normal, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's important to identify that pattern, that it's like, if you have bloating, if you have, you know, digestion issues, like, it's not normal. And it is something that, like I said, you can start with a food journal and increase that sort of quality of food. So what I like to do with a lot of my clients is do the 80-20 rule. 80% unprocessed, good quality foods, and then you can think about the 20%, you know, it can be a bit more fun foods, provided, of course, you can fit them into your calories. And again, if they start giving you issues, swap it out for something else, see if that improves. Or you can, again, increase that food quality, unless, like I said, you've got some undiagnosed issue, which, you know, that's Liam's wheelhouse of sort of what he can deal with as well. But again, guys, this is the sort of debate we want to have. Again, one side of the coin, again, we're talking about calories. Yes, they're important. Yes, calories in versus calories out matters. But then you have the other side of the coin. Don't get married to just being like, food quality has to be 100% all the time. Mm-hmm. You need to find some sort of balance where you can get the best out of both worlds, so you can function, perform, and live a social health lifestyle as well. But again, if you've got any questions, if you need any help, again, if you're not sure about calories, if you're not sure about gut health or any of that, you can message me, you can message Liam at Action Fitness Nutrition on Instagram, or Liam at Coach Liam C. Murphy. But until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next podcast.
See you guys.